This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College, and my guest today is Sean Moore, who has been running the Chamber of Commerce in Meriden for, these many years, right?
It's been a good haul.
How long have you been president of the chamber there?
Been president of the Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce for 12 years.
12 years.
13.
Now, how do you define Greater Meriden? Is that New York, Boston, and
And all of the above.
Yeah, what's the geographic area?
Back in 1956, when one of my predecessors came to the chamber, Sanford Shore, he very instantly changed the name from the Meriden Chamber to the Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce, recognizing that Meriden was a city amongst a number of smaller towns in the area. So we have members from a variety of communities: Wallingford, Southington, Cheshire, Middletown, and beyond. So that's the greater part of Greater Meriden.
Okay. So how many members do you actually have at this moment? About
in excess of 600 members, and they are, as we say in my world, dues-paying members. I came from banking my previous 20 years before chamber business.
So you like money?
We enjoy money. We enjoy helping our members make some money as well.
Okay, so you have 600 dues-paying members.
That's correct.
And of those 600, about how many would be either living or headquartered in Meriden?
Probably about 70% of them probably are in Meriden. The other 30%
Okay.
are from surrounding communities.
And you obviously have a board. The board has about how many people on it?
We have 27 members on our board, which is
Okay.
a fairly large board relative to a number of chambers of commerce, but we purposely, over the past 12 years, have worked hard on growing the size of our board so as it could be inclusive of all of our members.
But more important than your role as the president of the chamber is that you're a graduate of Middlesex Community College, and we'll talk about that in a moment. This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, and we'll be back momentarily. This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College, and my guest today is Sean Moore, who is President of the Meriden Chamber of Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce. 600 members, 70% of them in Meriden itself, and you've been with the chamber now for 12 years.
12 years.
And 12 more to go, no doubt.
We're working on it 1 year at a time, absolutely.
one year at a time. But you're a graduate of Middlesex Community College.
I am.
And I'm interested in going way back. What made you come to Middlesex in the first place? Were you traditional aged at that time? Or?
I was a high school graduate, and not exactly driven, I guess I would call myself back then. And I was an average student and wanted to do some exploration. I, at the advice of my parents, went to Middlesex, and for me it was just a fabulous experience, a very different way for me of learning, when the responsibility is thrust upon yourself, as it was on me. That was at the time that I just came into education at that time.
So, I mean, obviously this is some time ago, but at that time, were the students of all ages in the mix, or were they mostly young from high school, or what was the mix at that time?
Interestingly enough, there were students of all ages, and that was something that I especially enjoyed. We would get in class the very book-worthy education, as well as a very practical knowledge from those who were in business. I was a business administration major, and it was fabulous for me to see those who were in the field in the same classes as I, and that was very exciting for me.
So you did, 2 or 3 years at Middlesex?
I did a year and a half at Middlesex.
Okay.
This was
so we still ought to collect some tuition from you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
But this was long before the articulation agreements that are in place right now. Quite honestly, I had
With baccalaureate, yeah.
correct. So there was some issue with transferability of credits, which is simply that caused me to leave Middlesex earlier. I also missed the opportunity for not one but two graduation parties, so I revisit that decision as I watch my children graduate from college.
Yeah. How old are your children?
My baby is 23, and my oldest daughter is 25.
Now, did they happen to go to a community college, or did they choose to go to a...
As a matter of fact, my youngest daughter, Megan, spent her first 2 semesters here at Middlesex, and she enjoyed it, then transferred to Gateway. This year ago, graduated from the University of Hartford with her bachelor's in fine arts.
And I hope you noticed as a parent that the tuition is somewhat less at Middlesex than it is at the University of Hartford.
The tuition is very possibly the best bargain of any in the state of Connecticut. I have 2 daughters, one who attended a 4-year institution in 4-year state college, and one who attended Middlesex. And each of them have about the same debt. Let me come back on that one.
So, two daughters, and presumably the 4-year school accumulate debt. You accumulate debt at a faster rate,
Correct,
of course,
but
than at the community college.
Yeah. And just the savings in the first 2 years alone helped my daughter pay for her next 2 years. It was a very, very good value.
That's a great sales pitch, but it's true. But it's absolutely true, and I've heard it so many times. So let's go back to you. I'm not interviewing your daughters. So I have you here in my sights. You come to Middlesex Community College. You do 18 months or so here, and then you went on to, I think,
Central.
Oh, Central. Okay.
State University. Graduated there on time with my bachelor's in business administration, and went immediately into the wonderful world of banking, where I spent 20 years.
What did you do in banking in particular?
I was fortunate to do a lot of things in banking in the 20 years. I was in collections, consumer credit, a lot of operation areas. I spent some time in audit, spent some time selling credit card services on the road. I was in fraud, and I spent a lot of my last 5 or 10 years in the information systems side of banking.
So what people like me would call the computer side and IT and all of that.
Yes, I would say that was the back 30 years of your mortgage.
Okay. And then were you living in Meriden by that time?
I was at that time, yes.
So obviously you got connected in the community, and I'm assuming an opening came up and you went to the chamber. What does it... Well, let's put it this way. What's the chamber really there for? I mean, what difference does it make whether a town has a healthy chamber of commerce or not?
One of my staff members, Roseanne Ford, had gone to Institute, which is the Institute for Organizational Management, which we affectionately call Chamber Camp. And she came back with the line that if you've seen one chamber, you've seen one chamber. So I need to begin my opening with that by saying each chamber is...
They're all different.
They're all very different.
Yeah.
And they all strive to be representative of their membership. If you are the Mystic Chamber, you are fairly tourism-oriented. If you're the Bristol Chamber, you are fairly manufacturing-oriented. The chamber in Meriden is a very eclectic chamber, having as our members those from education, retail, manufacturing, high-tech, biotech, medical, and more. So we're a very, very eclectic chamber. I spoke earlier about growing the size of our board. That was done by design, so as we have some representation from all of our members.
So you have this eclectic membership. What is it that brings them together?
We are we have boiled our work down to 4 words, which are promotion, networking, education, and leadership. And those are really the 4 tenets on which we work as a chamber.
Promotion being promotion of the town,
Promotion
Meriden
of the town,
in this case.
but more specifically, promotion of the members of our chamber. Our goal is to get their word out. We are, by tax code, a 501c6 and not a 501c3. We're not a charitable organization. We're an organization in business for the benefit of our members. We're very, very clear about that.
Yeah. So if let's say I move into Meriden, I'm a new resident, I want to start a small business. I'm obviously watching every penny because these are tough times. Maybe I have 2 employees to start with. Why would I join the chamber?
To begin with, chamber dues are very inexpensive, and it is a great way to promote your business. If you do nothing other than get your name in the chamber directory and on the chamber website, your dues were well invested. However,
So people in my line of business would tend to go to those lists, see who is offering
Who's
services,
available
and they
for
might come to
services.
me rather than someone else.
and often
who's
they
not.
do. We
Yeah.
often refer to our chamber directory as the book. It's the book that people all go to when looking for goods and services in our community. Additionally, we have a number of networking opportunities for our members to get connected with each other. You talked about a brand new person being in business. Their biggest
Right.
challenge is really trying to understand who is out there to expand their network, and we can certainly help with that.
Do you ever have a problem if you have 2 people, 2 businesses, about the same size, competing with each other? Both members, I guess, and perhaps the one upset that the other is getting a little more publicity or less. Do you have any of those kinds of issues?
I would suggest that we believe the competition is good. We believe that each business needs to differentiate themselves from each other, and we can certainly help our businesses do that. We do not do anything that is exclusive, that shuts one business out from another, whether it be in membership, whether it be in a committee, or any type of arrangement. We do not have leads groups, for example, in our chamber.
So I suppose the largest businesses in Meriden belong to the chamber no matter what, right?
Most of them do, and we are very grateful for their membership.
And they presumably pay at a somewhat higher rate than
Correct.
than the small business I was picturing.
Our dues are generally based on employee size.
Number of employees.
Correct.
And when you started 12 years ago, do you remember how many dues-paying members there were about?
Had about 325.
So you've pretty much doubled it
Absolutely.
in your 12 years.
Absolutely.
So the challenge is you stay another 12 years and it'll be 1,200 members.
I
just said it.
That is a goal. That is a fabulous goal, actually.
When we come back, I'm going to ask you about the Chamber's relationship with the town in which it sits, the town government. This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, and we'll be back momentarily. This is Middlesex Moments. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College, and my guest today is Sean Moore, who's been President of the Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce for 12 years. And he's doubled the membership pretty much of that chamber in his 12 years. And the challenge is, and I'll be back in 12 years to check whether you've doubled it again. The serious question, obviously a chamber is non-political and should be. How do you manage relationships with a town government, which is presumably either Democrat or Republican or moving back and forth? It doesn't matter. How do you manage relationships? You've been there 12 years. You've probably outlasted most mayors, town council people, and so on. Talk a bit about that.
We have a very strong relationship with the city of Meriden. In addition, I will tell you that the city of Meriden, like any other business in town, is a member of the Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce.
That's good. Dues paying?
Dues paying member of the chamber.
Excellent.
We promote the product called Meriden as we would promote the product called education from Middlesex, so we're very pleased to do that. Additionally, Peggy Brennan, our city's economic development director, is a board member of the Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce, so we keep the communications open. On most topics, we agree, but we work very well with the chamber, with the city. I serve in a number of city committees, brownfields and blight, some housing committees and other committees as well, so it's a great relationship.
Mm-hmm. Now, as a proud graduate of Middlesex Community College, you were key, of course, when Middlesex moved into Meriden in a big way and created the Middlesex Center in Meriden. Tell me a bit about how that got started.
When Middlesex Middlesex has been in Meriden for probably as long as Middlesex has existed.
Sure.
In its early days.
It's the largest town. Middletown isn't. It's the largest town in our
Absolutely.
area.
And I remember when I was a kid, before the Meriden site, classes were offered at Platt High School in Meriden in the early days.
You have two high schools in Meriden, right?
Platt and Melodius. Middlesex then originally located at 500 South Broad Street in Meriden, which was a great position midway between Meriden and Wallingford, right on the line. It's an excellent location. But then when Middlesex relocated in 2004 at 55 West Main Street in downtown Meriden, that was the opportunity for Meriden and the opportunity for Middlesex. It is in a fabulous site. Ample parking, lots of room for growth, and lots of opportunity, frankly, to serve the city of Meriden and the surrounding towns.
Well, I've been looking at the numbers, and I'm always interested in the percentage of a town population that is served by a community college. And it goes up in Meriden every year.
Yep, without question.
We all know the connection between jobs and credentials beyond the 12th grade.
Absolutely.
So presumably, I'm hoping, we're part of the economic recovery that, of course, Meriden is leading, we hope. Right now, you are wearing another hat. You are representing the Middlesex Community College Foundation.
Correct.
And Regional Advisory Council on the search committee for a new president.
I am.
And we have been sworn to secrecy. I should tell all our listeners that for $1 million in cash, either one of us will talk. But
we have to kill the other ones. So
of course.
Paperwork would be
so
there.
in the meantime, we're obviously not going to talk about individual
Certainly
candidates. But what are you looking for in the kind of person who needs to lead Middlesex Community College in the next 5 or 10 years?
I believe the role of the college will constantly be evolving, constantly changing as the world changes, as job markets change, as education styles change. I'm looking for someone who is able to manage that change and to work within a number of very different communities. The service area that Middlesex enjoys, that Middlesex serves, is very large and very diverse. I'd like someone who can, quite honestly, work the crowd, be able to really be out there and be the spokesperson for the college. And it's a quite large talent set that I'm looking for, but I'm confident we can find someone.
Oh, I am too. We're both serving on that committee, so that's 2 votes right here.
Mm-hmm.
For those who are listening, you might be interested in you mentioned diversity. Connecticut is a small state, and the image is, small states are the same from north to south, east to west. No way. Our service area has those delightful little towns near the shore and on the shore. And then at the other end, 3 fairly major cities, Wallingford, Middletown, and the largest one being Meriden.
Absolutely.
And obviously we're looking for a president who is comfortable in all those settings. In Meriden itself, do you have a lot of service clubs, Lions and Rotary and all that kind of thing?
We have all of them and more. Absolutely, without question.
What's the major industry these days? Or the major business?
The major business would likely be the Mid-State Medical Center, which is our local hospital.
Yeah.
having over 1,000 employees. Additionally, there are very large manufacturers like RFS Cable Wave, Radio Frequency Systems, a very large employer as well. The City of Meriden and the Board of Ed is a very large employer also.
Sure. And over the next 5-10 years, do you see the pattern changing? Is it going to shift at all? Are you still going to have manufacturing?
Right now, we are seeing an interesting shift in manufacturing, and it's from the hard manufacturing to more of the R&D type of work, the intellectual property, the marketing and the finance and the global logistics. A lot of that is happening in manufacturing in our community. It will still be possibly less expensive to manufacture it out there, but the creative knowledge certainly resides in the state and this country. I think we can capitalize on that.
Which, of course, connects again with education, doesn't it?
Without question.
So, do you know what the average educational level is in Meriden? Do you have a sense of that?
I do not have that on me.
I'm sure it's going up.
Without question.
But and what's the unemployment rate?
Unemployment rate is a little north of 10%. Meriden is in the greater New Haven area.
Right.
Workforce group. I'm also on the board of the Workforce Alliance, which is our regional workforce development board. And generally, Meriden follows right behind New Haven as having fairly high unemployment.
So I'm talking with Sean Moore, who's the president of the Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce. What are the goals of the chamber, or of you personally, the next 5 years or so? What are we going to see in the next 5 years?
At the heart of our goals in the next 5 years is to really embrace regionalism, and I mean that in every form. There is the New Haven to Hartford to Springfield rail project, which has been on the drawing boards for a number of years. It is substantially funded right now. It'll be an amazing
And you're in the middle of it.
Meriden is smack dab in the middle of it. Additionally, I am on the State Transportation Strategy Board, so we've been following this project for a long time. It's substantially funded, so that would certainly put Meriden
So it's
on the
not
map.
just a dream, it's going to happen?
Without question. Absolutely.
Wow, that's exciting. What else? I mean, that'll change Meriden just by itself, won't it?
Without question, that'll change Meriden, and quite honestly, Middlesex being but 2 city blocks from that rail station will have an amazing opportunity to grow as well, so we're very excited about that.
Yeah.
In addition, the transit-oriented development activity within a half-mile radius at that train center is something Meriden's been planning for a long time. There's a study from Parsons and Brinkerhoff firm which will be beginning sometime this spring, and we expect to be able to lay out how people in cars and buses and taxis will all freely move about beautiful downtown Meriden, so we're very excited about that.
Well, one thing I heard your rhetoric about Meriden being easy to get in and out of, and frankly, the first time I didn't quite believe it. Nobody in Connecticut believes that anywhere is easy to get to. And I have to say it's true. It's absolute. I've gone into Meriden at different times of day, and I would think that's very attractive to a business, because there's nothing more frustrating than sitting in traffic.
And additionally, with I-691, 91, 15, the access in and out of Meriden is fabulous.
Oh, it's terrific.
Our proximity to Hartford and New Haven.
What are your goals for the Meriden Center of Middlesex Community College? What do you want to see there in the next 5-10 years?
Boy, if I could dream.
If you could wave the magic wand.
If I could dream, I would see Middlesex at least doubling in size, to be conservative. Mm-hmm. I believe the market is there. I believe the business community
I think so too.
Will embrace the growth, and we're very excited to be part of that at the Chamber.
That would be great. This has been Middlesex Moments, and my guest has been Sean Moore, Middlesex Community College graduate, and graduate of Central as well, but we'll talk about Middlesex here, president for the last 12 years of the Greater Meriden Chamber of Commerce. Take a look at our website, mxcc.comnet.edu. I'm Jonathan Daube, Interim President of Middlesex Community College. Have a good day.